Welcome, America, to Dow's Weekly Digest. I certainly hope that you and yours are doing well. As the Nebraska football chant goes when they go into the stadium, can you feel it? Can you feel it? The it I'm referring to is spring. We've had some really nice weather and warm temperatures, and soon we're all gonna set our clocks ahead. Spring. So my phrase today is plant seeds for the harvest. And with that theme, let's move on to some of that favorite cowboy wisdom. An onion can make people cry. But there's never been a vegetable that can make people laugh. But here's a tip for not crying when you're slicing onions. I've tried this, and folks, it didn't work for me, other than it did bring a laugh. When you're slicing onions, hold a slice of bread in your mouth so the bread absorbs the onion fumes. See if you can get somebody to do that. A little cowboy wisdom. On to some South Dakota trivia. Even as a small boy growing up in the Dakota Territory, Clyde knew he was going to fly one day. And he did in 1919. And in 1937, Clyde Ice was the first one to use aerial application insecticides for crop protection. You see, the Belle Fourche Irrigation Project wanted to distribute an insecticide over a sugar beet field. But the ground was too muddy for a truck. So Clyde got to thinking, and he rigged up a hopper with a piece of grain spout attached to the hopper, and then he attached that to his plane, and thus Clyde made history that day. And he continued to do aerial applications until he was 83. Clyde lived to be 103. South Dakota trivia. And what does the Bible, the Book of Wisdom, say about planting seeds for the harvest? Let's go to the New Testament. I'm thinking of Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up. And turning back to the Old Testament, let us look at Proverbs chapter 10, verse 5. He who gathers in summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps in harvest is a son who brings shame. I was about 12, going on 18, living in our home in Macy, Nebraska on the Omaha Indian Reservation. Now Macy, kind of a unique little name for a little town. The M.A. comes from the Omaha tribe, M.A. And the C.Y. comes from agency, Omaha Indian Agency, abbreviated by the government, Macy, kind of like Mo Bridge. But that spring and summer, I was enjoying life, playing baseball, riding horses to the Missouri River, swimming and fishing. Life was good. Now don't get me wrong, I had chores. On the acreage, we had chickens and we had pig and a couple steers and horses that needed to be taken care of. But retired Sergeant Major Bartling had an additional project for me. And it started about this time of the year. You see, the family would get a book in the mail every year. Now by family, I mean not only the Bartlings, but also my grandparents. And they happened to live cattywampus right across the road. Now this book, I never paid much attention to it until this time. It was the Gurney's Seed Catalog. Yes, Gurney's from Yankton, South Dakota. The Gurneys that you may have heard of on WNAX radio. So my special project was after we went through and ordered the seeds, put them in little cups and started them up, and after Sergeant Major Bartling used an old John Deere B tractor, one that you had to use a flywheel by hand to get it started. But after he plowed the ground, then we set the garden rows using string, and then we put a stick on the end and then put the packet so we know what we planted there. I would be responsible for watering and using the honey wagon. Yes, the honey wagon. And seeing the small plants come up then it called upon me to use the hand cultivator and start pulling weeds. Continuous watering and spreading. watering and spreading. You see, Sergeant Major Bartling, stating in one of his memorable phrases, says, you gotta put up with a little crap to reap the harvest. And he also said, be sure to plant lettuce, turnips, and peas. After all the watering, spreading, and cultivating, then it started to happen. The reaping of the harvest. Like radishes, lettuce, strawberries, green onions. Then we moved to snapping green beans and then putting them with bacon. Oh man, that was a good meal. Or fresh peas, you take them right off the vine, open up the pods, and oh boy, they are good. And oh yes, we had eggplant, cabbage, melon, cucumbers. So many cucumbers and making pickles, and we had our own dill that we grew for the dill pickles. And then we canned tomatoes, green beans, putting them in that earthen storm cellar. And potatoes that we had planted, gotta plant them on Good Friday. Oh yes, and in the summer, sweet corn. So much sweet corn, and we froze sweet corn, we give sweet corn away, and I sold sweet corn at 25 cents a dozen. And then we had a special group of Indian corn, and we used that to make hominy out of a big earthen crock. That summer, indeed, I learned to reap, I learned teamwork, I learned responsibility, and I learned an attitude of gratitude. Plant seeds for the harvest. Where can your internal wholesaler help you? Well, let's go to our catalog. Financial Markets website, fmiAgent.com. And let's look at the LTC hybrid, the hybrid of One America. I'm at the Financial Markets website, and I'm going to click on to Agent Tools. Now I'm going to scroll down to the second one entitled Products. Now let's go to the left side and scroll down to the topic of LTC Hybrid. I'm going to click on to the logo, the blue logo of One America. Once it opens, I'm going to go down to my favorite and find March 1st. Take your marketing to the next level with One America. I want to click on that, and it says read more. So I'm going to do that. I see that One America has marketing campaigns that provides you with tools you need to connect with your clients. And they have more than just one campaign. Now, each campaign includes valuable resources to help you take your business to the next level. And we have resources that we can customize, meaning you can connect with your client in an effective and seamless way. Makes me want to learn more. So why don't we click on the Learn More button? Let's look at that brochure entitled Running an Effective Campaign. So let's open it up, and I'm going to go to page 3. And here, One America presents to us a marketing funnel kind of diagram. And here we see it expand to the concept of bringing to your client initial awareness, not only of the need, but also your brand, and then create measurable touch points throughout that journey. You know, I look at this diagram, it's the one at the bottom, and it brings to mind a root system. The deeper the roots, the stronger the plant. Deeper by bringing forth awareness and educating, thus allowing them to buy and not be sold. So looking at the early stage of awareness, we can see we can produce emails, social media, and even web ads for you. Then we have educational presentations, from invitations you can send out to mailers to brochures to conversation guides. And then we have product specific brochures and very specific sales presentations to help you with the sale itself. Each time bringing and building a stronger relationship with your client. Now let's turn the page and go on to page 4. We see 3 steps to get started. First step is to get yourself familiar with the different campaigns. I said there was more than one. Now here's my recommendation here, is contact your internal wholesaler. Set up a specific time where they can share their screen. And together you can look at that website, assetbaseltc.com. Then you can move across to stage 2 and stage 3 with your dedicated team member, internal wholesaler, right there. On to page 5. It covers different campaigns, such as educational campaigns. And within educational campaigns, there are different ones, as there is for product campaigns. Moving on to page 6, we see different avenues, how we can connect with your clients. Again, through brochures, presentations, social media, additional print pieces. And folks, these are state specific. Yes, state specific. They're not generic. Folks, the whole garden is right here for you to work with your internal wholesaler to get it planted and be prepared to reap that harvest. My communication tip for you today, it goes like this. You can't sell anything until you can sell the idea that you have something valuable to say. If you remember my story of the family garden, we did not just reap the harvest for a small amount of time. In fact, we reaped the harvest all spring, summer, fall, and winter. This video from One America has one of their associates tell us a story of the whole season of life, and not just the so-called average time. I think you'll enjoy it.
I focused on long-term care as a core component of my career because of what I've gone through in my own family. With my grandmother, she was diagnosed with dementia about 8.5 years ago. Now, fortunately, we had done some planning ahead of time, so we were able to keep her at home for about 6 years. And then as things progressed, unfortunately, it was about 2 years ago, we had really no options other than to put her into a facility, really more for her own protection. At that point, she required a significant amount of supervision. Fortunately, they did do some planning, but they were really fixated on the averages. And so they put together a very limited plan. So it did help mitigate the issues and the expenses during those first few years. But unfortunately, several years ago, that plan of protection actually ran out. Physically, she's perfectly healthy. It's mentally where she's got the issues. And this is what we're seeing happen more and more. So we're living through all these different forms of cancers and heart diseases, and now we're getting things like Alzheimer's and dementia at much greater rates. And I see people that they spend years accumulating their assets, and if they don't get this area of planning right, it can absolutely destroy all the other plans that they've set up, not just for themselves, but also for their family. So now we can bring in a licensed professional to handle maybe the unpleasant things and allow family to spend more quality time in those last years.
Were you able to see, folks? I know I was, that coverage needs to be more than just average. This is your client, and you want to protect them so much more than average. With One America, you can do just that. Spring is coming. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Keep in mind, GP for you equals G. God's plan for you is great. So reap the harvest. Reap the harvest. And blessed are those who ease the pain of misfortune, for they shall be called insurance agents. You take care.